I did take it for a drive, but we may have ran into a little problem. What's going on, guys? Welcome back to another video, or as always, if you're new here, welcome to the channel. Today, I'm going to be working on the Mustang again. As you can see, it's kind of up in the air on jack stands. And what I'm doing today is something I feel like every manual Mustang needs. And that is, well, for one, I'm going to do a quick maintenance. I got the synchro shift. I've just heard this is really good fluid, and I have no idea when the last time that was changed. So I'm going to change that out with this. I had to get a pump for that because I don't have one. So got that. I got a stainless steel McLeod, I think that's how you pronounce that, clutch line that I'm going to be installing today too. Got some brake fluid, and then the Shelby clutch fluid reservoir. So this is going to completely separate your clutch fluid from your brake fluid. And I don't know if you guys in your Mustangs feel it, but whenever I hit the brakes and hit the clutch at the same time, I feel them almost kind of, I can feel them in each other, if that makes any sense. Like the clutch will vibrate and the brakes will, you can just feel them. It's weird. I don't really know how to explain it. Like, it's still fine, it still works okay, but especially, which I don't really track this car or anything, but especially if you drive it hard or track the thing, that will definitely become an issue. And I don't know exactly what my future is going to be with this car, if I'm going to end up tracking or not, but I just want to get that out of the way and basically just kind of future proof a little bit of those problems before I even get into it. So that's pretty much going to be it. Really, it all kind of seems like a lot, but this shouldn't take long at all to do. I feel like this is going to be the hardest one, only because on the transmission side it's a very, very tight space to get that clip off. So let's go ahead, we'll pop the hood. I'm going to go ahead and put the clutch line in first, and then we'll probably go ahead and drain the transmission, change the fluid, and then get to installing the reservoir. So let's pop the hood, get everything ready, and then we'll slide up under the car and start putting all this stuff together. All right, so first thing we're going to want to do to get this clutch line out is remove the sound tube. Now, you can buy delete kits. I actually don't have one, and I'm realizing that installing the clutch reservoir is going to require me to delete this, so I might end up having to run with a hole in my firewall and in my intake for just a second. But anyways, we'll move on. So we'll go ahead, this pulls up, and then it should just pull right out of the firewall like that. But it just kind of clips in there, like you push it in and you can feel it seat up against there. So just for right now, we will just move this out of the way. And I don't know if you're able to see it, but you can just see that hole right there. That's what we're gonna have to live with for a second until I can buy the delete kit. But as you can see now, that gives us plenty of room to get our clutch line, which is that very bottom one. Now, if you got some little picks, that would be great. I don't, so I'm gonna have to try to use a screwdriver and my finger just so that doesn't fly out anywhere. So it's gonna require me to use both hands, so I'm not gonna be able to show too much pulling that out on camera, but I'll try to get as much of it as I can. So I'm gonna go ahead and start pulling that clip out and pull that line out, and then we'll go up under the car. Okay, so I've got this guy, which is just a little tiny tool kit. I think I got this thing from like Tractor Supply or something. It's just a little it's in the little clearance aisle. It's just a little, I think this thing's like $5 or $6 for the whole kit, but it comes with a super long extension, and then I've just got a flathead on there, and I put it down there and got it. I don't know if you can see, but that clip is sticking out just enough that I can just go ahead and grab that with my finger. I didn't want to pull it all the way out because these little guys tend to want to shoot out into the atmosphere and then you never find them again. So we'll put this in a safe spot, or what I might end up doing, actually I'll put this back up here, what I think I'm going to end up doing is I'm going to pull this line out, which I need to get some rags, get all that brake fluid's going to fall out, And then I'm just gonna push this back in, because once you get the new clutch line, you should just be able to push it in and that ring will snap into it and should be good to go. So I'm gonna go ahead and get a whole bunch of towels, put those down in there, and then we'll pull that line out. All right, so with the towel shoved down in there, should be able to just grab this line. You don't want to pull too hard, and that is some dirty fluid too. So this fluid probably needed to be flushed. That is nasty. So it's probably a good thing we're doing this anyways, because that fluid probably needs to be flushed. That makes me wonder if I need to flush my brake fluid, which I probably do, so I'll probably end up doing that as well in a different video. But for right now, this is what we're gonna focus on. So you see this line is completely off, and that was super easy. So I'm gonna go ahead and put this clip back on. All right, so I doubt you can see down there, but the clip is slid back into position, and that should make that new line just be able to pop right in and hear it click, and should be good to go. So I'm going to go ahead, hop up under the car, and hopefully the one down there is just as easy as this one, because that one was pretty easy. So hopefully the space won't be too big of an issue down there, and we can hurry up and knock this out. So let's go. Okay guys, so as you can see, that elbow up there is what we're looking for. So this is what I was kind of saying, where it is in a very tight space, and I'm definitely not going to be able to film too much of this. Hopefully I can kind of do the same thing, get that clip out, and then come back and show you guys just how I kind of have it out, and then I gotta pull it out. Kind of looks like it should be shouldn't be too bad to get to, especially since I got that little extension. And if you guys, like I said, if you guys have like a pick, that'll be a lot easier. But I mean, honestly, this little screwdriver setup is actually not working too bad, and it was like $5, so definitely making do with what I have. So I'm gonna go ahead and pull that clip out, come back when I go to actually fully pull the clip out, and then we'll undo that line. And again, try not to be directly under it, because some brake fluid's gonna fall out, and that's not fun to get in your eyes. So yeah, just be mindful of that. So I'm gonna go ahead and pull that out. All right guys, so I got that line out. I actually found it a little easier to just pull the clip holding the line to the elbow out, because it was like right there. I could just get that in there and pull it out. And then I'm gonna spin the elbow down and then try to get it out that way, because there's a little thing in there you can put a screwdriver in. If you have a pick, you can probably get it out no problem, and that whole elbow will pull out together. That's easier if you have those tools available, but I do not. So that's just a little bit easier for me. So I'm gonna go ahead and do it that way, but this clutch line is completely disconnected. I'm gonna spin that elbow, pull it out, and then we'll get to putting the new one together and putting it in the car. All right guys, so now that the clutch line is completely disconnected, you should just be able to pull it right out. Give it a couple good tugs. And there we go, old plastic line out. So that is garbage. And then I'm gonna go down there and get that elbow out. Mainly the reason I took that out is because it kept dripping everywhere, and to get that elbow out I gotta be almost directly under it. So I'm just gonna spin that and then show you guys taking that out real quick, and then we'll get you putting the new one together, slapping it in there. All right guys, so this is the elbow from under the car. When it's in the car, it points straight up like this, so you get a view of this little slot, and then you can just see this tab. And this is the part I was talking about where you're supposed to be able to put something in there. So like if you have like an angled pick, you'll be able to get to this super easy, but I didn't have that. And I learned you can't spin it, it only goes in there one way. So what I ended up doing, which I didn't really have to do, is I pulled this clip off, just pulled the line out, and then if you're thinking about doing it that way, there's no way, unless you've got really small hands, you're putting this back in with this still in the car. So all I did was get a little screwdriver, kind of poke at this a little bit, just push it out just enough to get this to come out, and then I was able to get another little screwdriver in there to pull this out the rest of the way, and then this guy pops right off. So you do reuse this, unless you have a new one, then you can just toss it and use the new one. We've got our stainless steel clutch line, and it comes in pieces, so you got to put these ends on. From my understanding, these are AN fittings, so they shouldn't need any kind of like Teflon or anything like that. So I'm just going to go ahead and attach all this together and put it in here, and then get to routing it into the car. And it's that simple for this, but let me get to putting these on. All right guys, so I got these attached. This is I think this one's a 9/16 and this one's just a half. Just get 2 little wrenches, put them on there, tighten them down. I didn't like kill myself tightening this thing down, but I torqued on it just a little bit. So I don't know, we'll see if we get it in the car if it leaks. And I mean, really, with how kind of easy this is to do, the hardest part I feel like is just the clearance, getting this out, and I mean putting the car up on stands. But if there's a leak, it's not going to be too big of an issue. Get back under there, fix it. So I'm going to go ahead and attach this, and I'll show you guys kind of what I'm talking about, where if you leave these clips clipped in, you can just push this in. If you see this taper right here, it's actually meant to push the clip out, and then it'll snap back in right there. So I'll kind of show you what I mean by that. And then we'll just take this, and you heard it go in and click. That is installed. So simple as that. Make sure to give it a good tug. You can also look in there and see that it's in the grooves, and it is. So we should be good to go ahead, feed this through the car. And also, just for comparison, I'd like to do that. That's the old one, and then you got this nice shiny cool looking one. So go ahead and install this. Hopefully this will do a lot better, which didn't really have many issues with it, but I mean, this will just kind of future proof any issues that clutch line may have had. So go ahead, route it down. It should just be as simple as putting it in through there. Want to keep it away from the headers and mid pipe and all that good jazz. So I'll go ahead, send it down through, and then we'll plug it in up here, and then I'll meet you guys under the car, plug it in down there, and then we'll start changing the transmission fluid and then installing that reservoir. All right guys, so very tight fit, like I said, but not very hard. Just make sure that line is facing fairly up and down, because there are 2 grooves that it has to go into. And I mean, it just snapped in like it did with the just putting the line in that elbow. Just snapped in just like that. And I've already got the top in, as you can see, and it did the exact same thing. I had to put a little bit more pressure on that one, but just a little bit of wiggling and pushing, and it snapped right in. And now this line is in. So we want to make sure that we're away from anything hot, or super hot at least. So like the exhaust manifolds, Y pipe, everything like that. Under the car, I'm fine. And it looks like up here I'm good too. And everybody's zip tying it to this pipe, so I think I'm going to do that as well, just to make sure that as it heats up and does all of it, does everything it needs to do, it's just going to stay kind of in this area. So get a zip tie on that, and then while the car's up in the air, I'm going to go ahead and change that transmission fluid. So I'm going to go grab a zip tie, and then again meet you guys up under the car. We'll get to doing that. Alright guys, so this part is pretty straightforward. I got everything cleaned up under here, got a little bit of brake clean so that way I can see if any leaks happen. But you've got your drain plug here, and I'm actually pretty sure it says drain on it, so like you really can't, which I mean it's the only plug on the very bottom. Oh yeah, right here it says drain. And then on this side, you see that up there. If you look, I think on the top, you can't really see it on camera because I can't really get the camera in there, but if you get your head angled just right at the front, you can see that says fill. So that's going to be our fill plug, and if I'm right, they're the same kind of Allen head. So should just be one Allen head, be able to get in there, get all that. But what we want to do first, we want to get that fill plug out, because if you pull the drain plug and drain it all out and then you can't get the fill plug out, you're kind of screwed. So want to make sure we can get that fill plug out first, and they'll pull the drain plug, drain all this fluid out, put the new fluid in it. All right, so I got the fill plug off. So now let's get you taking the drain plug out and see just how bad this fluid is. Alright guys, so doesn't look terrible. Like, it's not 100% black, it's still got a little bit in it. So I think we're good there. So I'll wait for this to drain out a little bit, and then we'll put this guy back in and then fill it with our new fluid. Alright guys, so I went ahead and got the drain plug plugged back in. It's all brake cleaned. Got the fill plug open. Got my fluid pump in my little bottle. I'm just gonna start pumping it in there till it starts dripping out. Alright guys, so transmission fluid is in. Went ahead and just got all that done. It's fairly simple. You just fill it up till it starts coming out. I overfilled it a little bit because the thing that I have has a little thing that suctions in there to hold the tube, and wasn't paying attention. I probably put like a quarter or maybe half a quart too much in there. Now that I've made a mess, we can move on, and that is going to be to the reservoir. So I don't want to pump the clutch up or anything, especially because I'm not doing all this anyways, but that fluid, like you guys saw, was nasty anyways. So like I said, might end up having to bleed that eventually, but we'll worry about that when we come to it. But right now we're gonna go ahead and slap the new reservoir in, and they make it super easy to do. It's all bolt in, you don't gotta drill any holes. They give you stuff to mount it in, and it's all good. Now, where I got this from is Lethal Performance, and it's not too bad. It's about like 200 bucks, I think, something like that, 250, but it ships directly from Shelby, America, and it came pretty quick, like maybe a week or so, and then it was here. And then I've had this thing for a while, just waiting to get the clutch line, fluid, everything else, so I can do it all in one. So gonna go ahead. They give you the reservoir, they give you the cap, the bolt, and I don't really know what you call those things, little, kind of makes its own bolt hole. And then these two things actually go into your master brake reservoir to block off where the clutch comes in. So super duper easy. Gonna show you guys how to do this right now. Okay, so what you're gonna want to do in here is you've got this, which supplies your clutch master cylinder. You're gonna want to take that off. But first, before I take that off, I just kind of want to minimize as much brake fluid as possible. I'm just going to kind of do that a little bit last, a little bit right before we put the new reservoir in. So what I'm going to do first is this bolt right down here, this very bottom bolt on the master cylinder. You're going to take that out, and that is where this is going to mount into. It's going to sit kind of like this down in there. And I'm wondering if I can't squeeze that sound tube right by it. I'm gonna delete it. I know it sucks, but I don't have the delete kit right now, and I hate there being just a hole in the cab and then a hole in the intake right there. So I might try to figure out a way to squeeze it in for now until I can get that deleted. So I'm gonna go ahead and take that bolt out, and then that other bolt goes right in there. I think it goes into the square hole and then comes out right at that circle hole, and that's where the nut goes into. So super easy, and should not take too long at all to get all this installed. So I'm gonna take that bolt out. I think it's a 13, and then we'll start zipping this along. All right guys, so I got that bolt out, easy enough. I'm gonna go ahead and take this guy off, and while I do that, I'm gonna go ahead and get the plug and everything ready. So that is what these are for. You've got this that will go into the hole and plug it, and then this will go over that hole too, to keep anything from, you know, getting out. So let's go ahead and undo this clamp, pull this out real quick, and then I'll go ahead, shove that stuff in there and show you guys. All right guys, sorry for the kind of weird angle, but I want to kind of show you guys this, just because I don't want to do it off camera. So I'm gonna just undo this clamp. Sorry if this wire's in the way too. You know, I'll go ahead and Go ahead and disconnect that and tuck it out of the way. You don't have to do that at all, but for filming purposes, just make it easier for you guys. So, just gonna undo this clamp, back it off like so, and then should just slide off. And there will be some drippage, so be ready. I might put my towel back down. All right, and then you want to hurry up and cap, put your wedge, hurry up and cap this off, just shove it in there. Uh-oh. All right, guys, so don't do what I did. I tried to jam that wedge in there pretty hard, and it slipped and flew out somewhere and went into the abyss, so it's gone. But I put this block off on. It seems like it's pretty solid. I don't think anything's coming out of there, but I'll just keep an eye on it. Maybe Shelby sells, or somebody sells a kit for that I can just rebuy and put it in there if it starts leaking or anything like that. But for right now, it seems okay. Or if it does start leaking, maybe I'll get like a hose clamp or something, put it on there, just clamp it. But I don't know, that seems pretty good, pretty tight fit, and I think that'll be okay. So I'm gonna go ahead and reconnect this, get that nice click, and then we'll go ahead and put the reservoir in. So the reservoir is easy enough. It's actually, it says Willwood on it, which is kind of cool, and it does have a max line on it. So, well, it might help if we first put in the nuts. So you want to put this guy in. It'll go in the square hole and come out here. So just trying to lose this one as well. And yeah, that looks like it works perfect right there. So I think, I'm almost positive that's the one it goes to. If not, we'll readjust and move on from there. So got that one in there. It'll slide on there. Get your, I think it goes this way. And it's got the Carroll Shelby logo on it, which is awesome to me. But let's see how we want to put this in. I think we'll put it in like so. Make sure it gets over the stud like that, and then yep, that hole lines up perfect. And say if we need to get back in there and do that, that's right there. Nothing should be in the way, so it should be super easy to remess with that if we get any leaks. So that is basically in there. All we gotta do is bolt it in now. But I'm gonna go ahead and put the line in. Uh-oh, leaking. Just go ahead. I'm gonna use both hands, but I'm just gonna go ahead and slide this on, put that clip on. All right, guys, so everything is in. I went ahead and just zap down that nut, put the nut back over here on the stud. If you can see it down there, I doubt you really can. Let's see, try to get a good angle of that. I think you see it right down there, just that little bolt. Tighten that up. It's a pretty interesting angle, but if you go through it from like this side, you can get a wrench and an extension on there. Not bad at all. So I went ahead and got the clutch line installed. Everything's hooked up. The stainless steel clutch line is in. Gonna go ahead and fill this up with .3. Now, if you track your car a lot and like race it and everything, you can upgrade to .4 and that'll be just fine. And you can actually mix .3 and .4. Now, if your car from the factory is a .4, you can't do .3. So just remember, if you want to upgrade, you can upgrade to .4, but if your car is a .4, you can't downgrade to .3. So just remember that if you're going to be upgrading to .4. Also remember, everything that I've read says that if you do upgrade to .4, you have to flush your system out every year. Now, I don't know that. I know .3, it's recommended for like every 2 years or something like that, but I know most people don't do it, which I'm gonna try to, just because, I mean, this is my first really performance type car, so I want to try to keep it all good. But I think .4, they say it's better to do it every year, so just take that with a grain of salt. So I'm gonna go ahead and fill this up to the max line, and I'm gonna get in there and start pumping this clutch, because I've heard this takes forever. So let's do it. And the good thing about this system is everything that I've read and heard the Ford clutch system is like self-bleeding. It's like you don't really have to mess with any kind of bleeder screws, anything like that. It's all just, you just pump it till it feels good. So again, enough rambling on. I'm gonna try to connect that tube real quick, but I'm gonna fill this up, put the cap on. All right guys, so I actually got this to fit. It is touching it a little bit, but I'm gonna go ahead and order that delete kit, so any little bit of driving I do, I don't really think it's gonna bother anything. So again, gonna be deleting this, but as of right now, don't really want a hole in that or my intake, and it fits okay. I wouldn't recommend driving a long time because it is touching, like I said. So as the vibrations hit, it'll probably end up rubbing through this reservoir, and that's kind of an expensive thing to just let something that dumb kind of mess with it. So definitely gonna get that delete kit, but I think for the time being, that should be okay. So I'm gonna go in the car, start bleeding. This will probably take a minute, but after I finish all that, if you want to know what the bleeding process is, you literally just pump the clutch like 6 million times until it feels normal. So I'm gonna go ahead, start doing that, check for leaks, and then we should be good to go. All right guys, so clutch is bled. Like I said, you just pump it 70 million times. Now the first few times you're gonna have to go in there by hand, because anybody knows when your clutch is out of fluid, as soon as you hit that clutch, it's going straight to the floor. So you will have to do it by hand for a minute. Just keep pumping it until it gets back up. I did it till it was about halfway up, and then I get in there with my foot and just start cranking on it. And it feels good, it feels about normal. There's the reservoir, looks really good. I kind of like that it's actually Willwood. It's kind of cool, I didn't really notice that. But again, I know I'm deleting this, I'm gonna end up flushing my brake fluid, and I mean, gonna be pretty great. I'm pretty excited to see how the transmission shifts with that new fluid. Everybody says it makes it feel like butter, which I mean, I wasn't really having any issues with it before, but I mean, hey, if it can make it smoother, why not? So pretty excited for that. So let me get this thing down, kind of whip it around the driveway maybe just a little bit, and then if everything's good, we'll take off. All right guys, so it is the next day, and I'm gonna go ahead and just kind of take the car out on a little bit of a rip. I haven't driven it yet. It was starting to get a little late and I had other things to do, so I just kind of buttoned everything up, put it all together. So I'm just gonna go ahead and start it, kind of pull it out of where it's at, make sure everything's feeling good, and then I'll take it down the road and let you guys know how it feels. Okay, so as you can see, the car is backwards now. I did take it for a drive, but we may have ran into a little problem. Not 100% sure yet, but when I went to get in the car and I went to press the clutch in to start it, clutch went straight to the floor, and I had to repump it up, which I'm kind of leaning towards maybe I didn't tighten those lines enough. I'm really hoping that's it and it's just leaking off a little bit, but the fluid still seems the same. And I don't know, I repressed it in, it's holding pressure. I just took it for a decent little drive. I mean, it felt like it was doing okay, so maybe I just didn't bleed it enough, and there was still a little bit of air in there, and it kind of forced its way up into the master cylinder again. Really hoping that's what happened, but I don't know. We'll see. So I'm gonna let it sit for a minute. I'll probably come out in a couple hours, maybe pump it, or maybe press it in, see if it's still okay. I have a good feel for where it's at right now. So if it's lower or it sticks to the floor again, I know we definitely have an issue. So I will leave it at that for right now. And then the next time you guys see me, it'll either be tomorrow or maybe the next day, and I will tell you guys if it's holding steady. So I'm just hoping, I'm hoping it's something small, because if it's like slave cylinder, even I would rather it be the clutch master cylinder than the slave cylinder, because I'd have to take that to a shop. I don't have anything that can lift this up high enough to pull a transmission out of this thing, so that would be a huge bummer. Really don't want to have to do that. So hopefully it's just something dumb like that, and you know, nothing that involves pulling the transmission. So again, you guys will see me probably tomorrow, and I'll let you know if it's still got pressure or if we got a bigger issue we got to look into. All right guys, it is now the next day, and thankfully what I suspected was it. I guess just maybe got some more air up in the master cylinder or something like that, and just needed to be pumped up a few more times. Because I pumped it up yesterday at about, I don't know, 1 or 2-ish, and didn't touch it, left it alone, and got back in it this morning perfectly fine. So there was no leaks that I could find anywhere, nothing like that. Everything looked fine. Just kind of wiggle it around a little more, everything seems solid, and it's all fine now. So either air was still in the system, like I said, or maybe one of the O-rings didn't seat very well, let a little bit seep out, and then maybe just me wiggling it or building back up pressure, finally let it seat. So everything is good now. I took it for a drive, it all feels good. Feels about the same as it did, but then again, like I said, I didn't really have any issues out of it, but hopefully this is good future proof for that MT82. And as you guys can see, I've got a new cover on it, because the old cover, the cats that like to lay on it, chewed through here and actually chewed up my antenna a little bit, which really irritated me. But hopefully this cover will help with that. It's almost like a tent type material. The other one was like a foam type material, so hopefully they don't like the way it feels or something, and don't want to lay on it, or maybe they'll slide off it, I don't know. But hopefully this will do a lot better. Plus this cover's got a little zipper that if you want to zip up and get in the car, you can, so that's really cool. My father-in-law actually bought this for me. He bought one for his Mustang. He's got a 2018 or 2019, I believe, and I think it's pretty sick. I'm sure you'll see it on the channel eventually. But yeah, so shout out to him for buying this for me. I'll leave a link to it in the description below if you guys want a cool cover for your Mustang. I think you can pick whatever year. I think they make them for all sorts of years. But as you can see, it's got the mirror cutouts, all that cool stuff. It's got a breather in here, and yeah, like I said, feels pretty good. So we'll see how this works out. Hopefully it's a lot better than that old one. So that being said, with everything that's in, I'll show you guys when I get that sound tube delete in and put that in. I'll show you guys just real quick of that and then what it looks like after. But I did order that, by the way. It should be here, I think, sometime next week or week after, whatever. So that's pretty much it, guys. That's all I wanted to show you, was that clutch line install, the reservoir, and changing out that transmission fluid. And like I said, hopefully that's just good insurance that this MT82 will last me at least a good little bit longer. So thank you guys so much for watching. If you like this video, hit that like button, hit that subscribe button if you like the content I'm putting out and want to see more. If I left anything out and you guys have any comments, questions, concerns, leave them down in the comments below. I'll answer them to the best of my ability. If you guys want anything in this video today, go down to the description below. There are links to everything down there. Go follow me on all my socials. They'll be at the end cards of this video and in the description below. And also go to my Amazon storefront. There are going to be some things on my car that I haven't touched on in this video, but will be in that storefront. You just go to the Mustang. Everything I've gotten for it off Amazon will be in there. So definitely go check that out. Go check out the links. And again, that's where I'm going to leave you guys. Thank you so much for watching. I hope you guys have a great day, and I will see you next time.